Yeah, what's up, everybody? Where am I? Where am I? Find me, team. Where am I? Hold on. We're gonna get me. It's a SmackDown recap show. Technical difficulties right off the bat. We're gonna get it fixed. Come on. Come on. Hey, there we go. Daniel Bryan versus Roman Reigns is official for Fastlane. Reginald has been fired, and Michael Cole spoils a match. It's your SmackDown wrap-up show. It's Wrestling Uncensored. Let's do it. Hey, live YouTube, man. Anything can happen. Live YouTube, live Facebook, live Twitch. You never know. Some things go wrong. I blame Bill Gates, okay? I blame Bill Gates, Microsoft, and all that stuff. Johnny North, what's up, boy? How you feeling?
Well, I remember the times when SmackDown used to be like the best show on television for wrestling, and it feels like those days are long past us now after tonight. Another episode of SmackDown where it was very subpar at best.
Has it been the best show in wrestling since Dynamite came around?
I think there was a lot of good SmackDown episodes.
But the best show in wrestling?
Oh, yeah. Remember that episode where he had AJ against Daniel Bryan? That was a great show.
But I don't know if consistently. Like, consistently, I think the best show in wrestling since AEW's shown up has been their Dynamite show. SmackDown is usually a pretty good show. Tonight's SmackDown, Johnny North didn't like it too much. I thought it was okay. What did you guys think of SmackDown tonight? We started it with a very good promo by my man Daniel Bryan. Hard to go wrong with that promo. I don't know, maybe Johnny didn't like it, but I loved it. You know me, I'm Daniel Bryan fan number one. Michael Cole in the ring to interview Daniel Bryan. Cole says that Daniel Bryan and Edge versus Roman Reigns and Jey Uso was supposed to be the main event for Fastlane, but Bryan decided to turn his focus on Roman Reigns and the Universal title. Bryan says nobody asked him about the tag team match. He says that a lot of people want to see Edge versus Roman, but he's the only one that doesn't want to see it at WrestleMania, and he's going to stop it from happening. Daniel Bryan throws to a video package of his night at the Elimination Chamber where he won the Elimination Chamber match, beating 5 other men, and then having to wrestle Roman Reigns immediately after and losing to Roman. Bryan says he felt like a failure when Edge speared Roman Reigns after the match and pointed at the sign. He says he wanted to be more of a dad than a wrestler. He took a step back. He put himself on the back burner. Bryan says he should be in the main event of WrestleMania. A lot of people question his ambition, but he has ambition, and he loves wrestling more than anybody else. He says that he has wrestled more in the past 3 weeks than Edge and Roman Reigns have wrestled in the past 3 months combined. Daniel Bryan says that when he pushes himself to be on the front burner, on the forefront, the best of himself, he can be the absolute best in the world. Roman Reigns came out with Heyman and Uso. We went to a commercial break to continue the promo. Very long promo to start SmackDown. Roman says Bryan is the little guy, the lotto winner, the guy that waits around for the opportunity, and sometimes, hey, it works out. Roman says he's not that guy. He's the guy that takes what he wants. He's the front runner. He's the head of the table. And Bryan, you don't love the WWE. You don't love wrestling. You need this. You have nothing else. And Roman says, I love this. I love this more than you do. I don't need this. This place needs me. The WWE needs me, the roster needs me, the cameramen need me. And even you, Daniel Bryan, you need me. And then Bryan goes to retort. Jey Uso takes Bryan's mic, starts barking at him, yelling at him, saying that he's going to have to go through him tonight in a steel cage match if he hopes to get a shot at Roman Reigns at Fastlane. Jey tries to blindside attack Daniel Bryan, but Bryan catches him, drops him, and that's the end of the segment. I thought that was a solid opening segment from Bryan and Roman Reigns. I like that promo. I thought Roman said some good stuff. Bryan said some good stuff. But when Roman said, "Oh, I don't need this. I love this. I don't need to be here. I could do other things." I'm sitting there on my couch like, "Well, what exactly?" I mean, your football career didn't go anywhere, and you went into wrestling. What would Roman Reigns really be doing if not for the pro wrestling business? He wouldn't be a multimillionaire, I don't think. Unless he's some genius who could do some sort of big job, I don't know. But Roman saying, "Oh, I don't need this. I'm just here because I'm here for the business and I'm here to carry on the legacy and the family and whatever." It's like, well, excuse me, sir, I'm not sure that that's true. But that's okay. It was a good promo nevertheless, right? It was a good promo. Like, Roman Reigns not in wrestling. What's Joanna Hawaii doing? Like, maybe like an assistant football coach at some college somewhere or something, you know? I don't know.
Well, I thought Roman's promo was great. I liked his part because I believe that, like, he doesn't really need WWE. He could do movies. I'm sure The Rock could get him a good part.
Sorry? I don't know. If he could, he would. If he could, he would. I mean, come on. The money.
He has already.
He did a small part, a non-speaking role as far as I could tell, in a movie with his cousin The Rock, because The Rock was trying to help a brother out. That's not an acting role. That's not a career.
I believe he did like another movie as well. Like there was another one. There's a comedy he was in as well.
I don't know.
Whatever. Like he's focusing on wrestling, which I prefer he focus on wrestling. But he could do movies, I think. I wouldn't be surprised if later on he does films later on.
Well, Derek John says he could do movies, and I guess he could do movies, but that would only be because he would be capitalizing off his WWE fame. That's how he's getting movie roles. Joe Anoa'i, ex-college football player, not Roman Reigns, does not get any kind of movie roles. I'm sorry. I don't believe that. Derek John says movies. Johnny North says movies. Shout out to Patrick C. Hamilton, one of our members on the chat. He says he watched the last 5 minutes of SmackDown. That's all you needed to see. You saw Daniel Bryan win. That's the most important part. Mako83 says Roman Reigns will be doing The Rock's laundry if he wasn't in if he wasn't in wrestling. Yeah, pretty much. Right? Come on. We'll tell you about that Michael Cole spoiler as well, botching the finish to a SmackDown match tonight. Good job, Michael. But I like the promo. You didn't like Daniel Bryan's promo, John? What was wrong with that? Passionate promo? You know? Come on.
Well, first off, like him complaining that Edge or Roman Reigns didn't ask him about the tag match. Apparently wrestlers have to ask if we're going to have a match now. That's very interesting. This will carry on later in the show, of course, because apparently you can ask for matches now.
Yeah.
Apparently that's how SmackDown runs because it's ridiculous, but that's one. Also, like, you could just tell Daniel Bryan, he was kind of shaky on that promo. Like, it's a scripted promo, obviously, and you could tell, like, he wasn't completely sure about everything. That whole, like, 3 months, 3 weeks thing, he kind of flubbed that a little bit. Because, again, like, you're trying to remember every little thing. It's a long promo. He went out there for, like, 10 minutes himself, and then you had another almost 10 minutes of Roman Reigns. That's a long promo. It's not easy to do that kind of stuff. And, like, he's okay with the passion stuff, but to remember the exact lines you got to say, that's not always easy to pull that off. And like it didn't come off natural.
So he flubbed a couple of lines. I thought overall the promo was good. Compared to most WWE promos that we see, I thought it was fine. Was it the best Daniel Bryan motivated, going bananas promo? Probably not. But I think the crowd helps Daniel Bryan do those promos. You know, when the crowd kind of gets behind him, you could see the promo building momentum, you know, and the lack of crowd, I think, hurt that promo tonight. If there was a crowd in the building for that promo, it would have been electric. Anyways, so we had that to start off the show, and to continue on with the whole Daniel Bryan, Jey Uso, Roman Reigns deal, Roman later on backstage with Jay, telling him to make sure that he wins his match for the family tonight, protects the Universal title so that it is safeguarded until WrestleMania for the match with Edge. Edge not on SmackDown tonight. Jey Uso doing a backstage promo later on, and Daniel Bryan shows up and just punches him in the face, drops him. I like that. Daniel Bryan's aggressive. He wants it. Give it to him. Daniel Bryan wrestles Jey Uso in the main event, gets him to tap to the yes lock. Submission victory for Daniel Bryan inside the steel cage. That match earns him a title shot at Roman Reigns at Fastlane for the Universal Championship. I thought the match was good. I thought it was the match of the night. Jey Uso hitting Bryan with a really nice top rope Samoan drop off the cage. That looked nasty. Match was good. It wasn't incredible, but tonight was not a great wrestling night for SmackDown. So I would put Bryan and Uso as the best match, but it was, I think, by far the longest match. Really didn't have a second contender, right? If you look at the wrestling matches tonight on SmackDown, Bryan and Jey Uso, by far the best. What else did we have? King Corbin and Montez, Dawkins and Sammy, Dominic Mysterio and Chad Gable, Bianca versus Shayna, Cesaro and Murphy. You know? Not a great night of wrestling tonight for SmackDown. Johnny, do you disagree that Bryan and Uso was the match of the night?
No, I think clearly it was the match tonight because, as you just said, like you look at the rest of the card tonight, it was kind of weak. Like I think the second best match was Gable and Mysterio, and that's not really saying much for the rest of the matches. Not that anything was like particularly overly bad, but nothing really stood out. It just felt like a lot of matches were just going through the motions, typical standard matches. You know, just punch, kick, go to one move to the next move, then stupid finish for most of the matches, like a roll up or distraction finish. Just a lot of typical stuff you see weekly, which is unfortunate. SmackDown, they usually kind of changed up a bit, and unfortunately now they're just falling into this repetition now, unfortunately, on SmackDown, where it's the same stuff now.
Cesaro and Buddy Murphy was the second best match of the night. Don't give me that Dominic Mysterio stuff. Come on, man. No.
Well, I mean, I give a lot of the credit to Chad Gable. I don't know if you saw Chad Gable, but man, he was going like crazy
but
like,
you
he
know,
was pumping crazy. He was hitting moves. He had that great Tiger suplex. I mean, Dominic, yeah, whatever. I mean, it was just like you know, pretty much wrestling a broomstick in a sense. But like Gable was put on a masterpiece, in my opinion. Like, and it's kind of disrespectful in a sense too. Like Gable, like they're like, oh, Otis and Company, like what the heck, Otis Company? They announced on commentating. Like, when do you ever do that? Like when it's a group, I get it, but Otis and Company, like. There's no love for Chad Gable in this company, and like he's an amazing wrestler.
Is that the name of the group? Otis and Company?
That's what they were saying on commentary. I mean, it's supposed to be Alpha Academy, right? But they mentioned Otis and Company. And it's like they're a tag team. That's ridiculous to say that.
How come they can't just be like American Machinery, you know? Just take Heavy Machinery, American Alpha, and just call them American Machinery. Or Heavy Alpha. The Heavy Alphas?
Alpha Academy sounds good, though. Because it's like, you know, Gable's the teacher. Yeah. And he's teaching Gable. Like, he's teaching Otis. I like that.
I don't like that gimmick. It's not working. I'd rather them just be a tag team that works together rather than Gable's, like, teaching Otis, but he teaches him wrong and Otis loses because Gable's a bad teacher. Like, that's the gimmick. It's stupid.
We're past that. It's
Are
evolved
we?
Now.
Has it? I don't know. I guess Otis is the winner and Gable's just the jabroni of the team? Is that where we are?
Yeah, it's too bad that Gable lost. Like I thought he was great tonight, but
Gable lost to Dominic Mysterio.
But not according to Mike Cole. Mike Cole said Gable still won, which is ridiculous. Mike Cole had a terrible night tonight. Oh yeah. He's like, what a terrible loss, but what a great win for Chad Gable, and that's how the segment ended right there. Was with that.
That was weird. Dominic Mysterio beat Chad Gable, rolled him up, 1, 2, 3, middle of the ring. Not even off a distraction from Rey Mysterio, who was somehow on Otis as soon as the match ended. He was like attacking Otis. Otis didn't seem to do anything to warrant getting attacked by Rey. Rey's just being a jerk, beating up Otis. What was that about? Why did he just attack Otis?
Otis was about to get in the ring.
Yeah, but was he? Like, barely. He was on the apron, and Rey was just, like, all over him. And the best part of that was when Rey was escaping the attack from Otis. Like, he beats up Otis, then he decides to leave. He headbutted the camera. His head went, like, dunk right into the camera. It's pretty good. It was like, made a sound. See that?
I saw it. I enjoyed the landing on Otis on the table. I enjoyed that more than the whole like camera thing. That's just a nice little botch. I'll make Botchamania.
It was a nice whatever he calls that, West Coast pop on the table on Otis.
Yeah, I guess that was somewhat of a West Coast pop. I mean, he has to sit down with it, but I mean,
what do you call
really
it?
Sit out with it.
What is that move? It's not like a Thez press. It's like a head scissor, like. What do you call that? A dick attack? I mean, he's like, thrusting his balls in his face and dropping him with that. What is that? The dick attack.
Well, I remember Doink used to call that the whoopee cushion.
There you go. It's a whoopee cushion. Yeah, it's the whoopee cushion. Nice whoopee cushion on the table from Rey Mysterio. I like dick attack better, but whatever. Let's get into something serious, though. Can Daniel Bryan, he's wrestling Roman at Fastlane. Now, I will preface this by saying I am the number one Daniel Bryan super fan, and I always want him to win, and I think that he should main event every WrestleMania and be champion all the time and be champion forever. Forever champion,
Thanks.
Always champion. I don't think Daniel Bryan should have ever lost the belt when he was doing that evil recycler gimmick when he had Eric Rowan and they changed the belt and then they gave it to Kofi. They should have never done that. They should have kept Bryan with the belt, and he should still be champion from that. He should have never lost the belt. Still champion to this day. That's what I would have done with Daniel Bryan, but of course that's, not how WWE works, and that's not how, I guess a lot of wrestling fans want it to be. I don't know. The modern wrestling fan, I feel like they don't like Daniel Bryan as much as they did 5 or 6 to 10 years ago, whatever it was. I don't understand why people don't like Daniel Bryan the way they used to. 7 years ago, right? We're coming up on WrestleMania 37. WrestleMania 33 or 30 was Daniel Bryan Mania. 7 years ago, he was the hottest thing in the business. As far as I'm concerned, he's still the number one wrestler in the game today. The only guys that come close in my mind are AJ Styles and Kenny Omega. So, I would like to see Bryan beat Roman. I would like to see Bryan wrestle Edge at WrestleMania for the title because I think it would be a far better in-ring product than Roman versus Edge. Edge versus Bryan is a much better match. Edge is older. A guy like Daniel Bryan could carry him to a classic. Roman and Edge will be, whatever. It'll be a match that happens. So, I have very little hope because, it's Roman and it's WrestleMania and he's basically one title defense away with the match with Edge, and that's probably what's going to happen. But I would love to see Edge versus Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania for the title. And if you're doing 2 nights of WrestleMania, I don't see why that couldn't happen. Now, hear me out. Last year, nobody worked twice, right? They did 2 nights of WrestleMania, and everybody worked one time. You either worked night 1 or night 2. But what do they really have this year? You got no Undertaker. I mean, what's WrestleMania? You're doing 2 nights of WrestleMania, right? What do you really have? You have Roman Edge. You have a WWE title match. You have Bad Bunny. You have Sasha Bianca. You have the women's tag title match. You have a Raw Asuka Charlotte for the Raw title. That's 7 matches. Maybe you do an Intercontinental title match with Big E and Apollo or something. Maybe you do a U.S. title match with whoever, Matt Riddle, I guess, and whatever the hell's going on there. But that's still 8 matches. That's not 2 nights worth. So why not do a double main event? Do some sort of Roman versus Kevin night 1 grudge match. Edge, Bryan, night 1 for the belt. Winners face each other night 2. Like New Japan does with Wrestle Kingdom and their big double main event with the Intercontinental and IWGP Heavyweight title where Naito wrestled twice or Ibushi wrestled twice this year, right? Naito last year. Why not do that? Why not double book it? Do Bryan Edge for the Universal title. Have Bryan beat Roman. And have Bryan Edge for the Universal title on night 1 of WrestleMania. Kevin Roman on night 1 of WrestleMania in some sort of exploding barbed wire death match or whatever. And then the winners of those 2 matches face each other on night 2 for the Universal title. So Daniel Bryan or Edge wins, Edge beats Bryan and Roman beats Kevin, and you do Edge and Roman on night 2. Roman beats Edge. Roman goes home champion. Bada bing, bada boom. I don't see why you can't do that. And I'm wondering, if they're really going to fill 2 nights and they're going to do 2, 3-hour cards. I know Andre the Giant Battle Royal and maybe a ladder match and a women's Andre the Giant Battle Royal. And okay, but it's not that much meat in this sandwich. So I'm trying to add some meat. Some meat, pal. And I think a double championship thing, especially doing it now when no one's expecting it, would be fun. And, of course, I'm trying to slide Daniel Bryan into a main event here, John. I mean, you know what I'm doing. Come on, kill my dreams. Yeah. Let's go. Kill my dreams, John. Let's hear it.
Well, just first off, what you failed to realize is we did have, double booking last year. Drew McIntyre wrestled twice. He wrestled Brock Lesnar, then he wrestled The Big Show.
Well,
that
that's
was
on
the true
same
main event of WrestleMania.
Same night, though. I'm talking about one night and then the next. Okay.
He had to wrestle twice. I mean, there was the double booking. It happened. Also, there's so many championships in WWE. You could pretty much just fill up WrestleMania on practically just championships almost all the way through. So, I don't think you really need to add double bookings for people. You have so many people on the roster who don't even make WrestleMania. I don't think people have to wrestle more than once. It's too much. If anything, throw Daniel Bryan into the match, make it a triple threat. But I don't think you need to make it several single matches.
Okay. So what do you do with Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania? Obviously, you don't think he's going to beat Roman at Fastlane. I don't think many people do. I'd like him to, but I don't think it's very likely. Unless Edge gets involved in that match and we do see a triple threat, which would be cool. I would much rather a triple threat with Daniel Bryan involved. Kevin Owens hasn't been seen in a while. How does he fit in? Does he fit in? Shouldn't he fit in? So I think the most likely scenario is Edge versus Roman one-on-one at WrestleMania for the Universal title. But in that case, where does Daniel Bryan fit in? Where does Kevin Owens fit in for WrestleMania? That's 5 weeks away. And these are not, guys that shouldn't have a spot that it's whatever. They're not throwaway players. right? They're big-time, top-level main event wrestlers. And right now, I mean, Kevin's been off TV since he lost to Roman the last time, right? And Bryan, he's going to wrestle Roman here at Fastlane in a match nobody expects him to win. So if he does lose, where does that really leave him for WrestleMania? Where does that leave Kevin Owens, who carried Roman Reigns to his best matches as champion over this past year, over the past 2-3 months? Right? Roman versus Jey Uso, those matches, garbage. Roman versus Kevin Owens have been, tremendous matches. Really good. You're going to tell me Kevin doesn't have a spot at WrestleMania? That doesn't sit right with me. As a guy who watches this stuff, who respects the guys that he watches and wants the guys that deserve the spots to get the spots. So, what does Kevin Owens do? Just give me an answer. Just give me a match. What do you think he does? What do you think they do with him? Do you think they just do nothing?
No, they'll do something. It's either going to be like a multi-man, like a big ladder match with a bunch of people in it for a title, or him against Sami Zayn, because it feels like Zayn's doing something here with him freaking out at the end of the night. So maybe it'll lead to him and Kevin somehow. Because that's a match. That's an easy match right there where you know it's going to be good. And that's WrestleMania quality, too.
Yeah, and you've been pushing it, but I don't think it's going to happen whatsoever. I would bet against it. I would bet any amount of money you want that it doesn't happen. But you don't want to bet wrestling bets with me because you always lose. Right? Let's not forget.
We should have bet last year about WrestleMania because you said WrestleMania wasn't going to happen last year, and it did.
Yeah, well, let's not forget, I think the last wrestling bet we made was the last wrestling bet you'll ever make with me. You were the guy who said, no, I think Kenny Omega is going to sign to WWE. He's not going to go to this new AEW thing. That was easy money, John. That was easy money.
And now Kenny wants to be with WWE. He wants to work with them.
Well, he's open for business. The forbidden door is wide open. Did you see Kenny's rules to the exploding barbed wire death match? Did you see that image that he tweeted out?
I'll worry about that on Sunday. I'm thinking about SmackDown right now.
Yeah, well, I'll show it to you later because it's pretty damn cool. Okay. So what does Daniel Bryan do at WrestleMania? Multi-man match for the Intercontinental title involved in Big E and Apollo Crews' feud for some reason? Like, come on. Really? If that happens, I'm pissed.
Well, no, I think it's going to be him and Seth Rollins because it feels like Seth Rollins. I feel like that's going to happen at Fastlane because they're really pushing out like crazy right now. See them all the way to Mania right now.
Ugh. I don't need to see Cesaro or Seth Rollins and Daniel Bryan. I don't need that.
I think that'd be a good match. What's wrong with that?
It's for nothing. It means nothing. It's just there. It's on the card.
Might be the best wrestling match you'll see on the whole 2 nights.
Yeah, it'll have no build and no one will care. It'll have no heat whatsoever. That's a match you could put on SmackDown as a main event. It's not a WrestleMania match. At this point, you're 5 weeks away from the biggest show of the year, and you're going to give me a Daniel Bryan, Seth Rollins match with, 2-3 weeks build? Pass. I don't need to see that. I need to see that like I need to see another King Corbin Montez Ford match. Pass. Corbin beat Montez after the end of days and a distraction from Sami Zayn. I guess it was supposed to be Sami and Corbin versus the Street Profits, but Corbin didn't want to be Sami's partner. Sami helped Corbin win, and then he was like, you got to help me win in my match now with Dawkins. And Dawkins kicked Sami into Corbin, and Corbin got mad at Sami for some reason, even though Sami's like, you saw him, you saw what happened. And Corbin's like, oh, you're on your own. So Corbin left. And, of course, Sami lost because Montez distracted Sami, messing with Sami's camera crew. So Dawkins got a roll-up pinfall because this is just a story. This isn't real. This is just dumb shit that we're watching. One guy wins with a distraction. So then the other guy has to win with a distraction because it's just a story. That's what we're doing. Goddamn terrible. Of course, Sammy's the one who loses. He got mad after the match and started asking, who's behind this? Started questioning his own cameraman. He had a guy that shot video and a guy that shot still images. And he was like telling the guy that shot video, like, who's this guy? Is this guy new? Do you know this guy? This guy worked for the company? And he started like throttling him and he beat him up a little bit. Sammy went a little bananas. What's happening with Sammy? Why is he attacking his camera crew? What is going on with Sammy? You know?
Well, it seems like they're trying to show that he's like losing his mind, I guess.
Okay. It's just the evolution of the character, right? See what's next. I like Sammy.
I think it might be good. It could be a good thing, actually.
Yeah. I think, wherever he takes it is the right direction because he's very good. He knows his character. He seems to be doing a good job with it, and he seems to have a reasonable amount of control. I'm enjoying Sami Zayn. I really am. We'll see what WWE does with him. He's another guy who's so good, it's like he should get some sort of big match at Mania, but I don't know. Maybe for the Intercontinental title that he never lost, even though he did lose it, right? Dominic Mysterio beat Chad Gable with a roll-up. We talked about that. That was a goddamn mess. Seth Rollins is backstage being interviewed by Kayla. Seth talking about Cesaro. And then Buddy Murphy shows up, and he says that he could take care of the Cesaro situation for Seth. And Seth tells him to get out of his sight. What happened to Buddy Murphy not liking Seth Rollins and dating Rey Mysterio's daughter? They completely dropped that. Rey and Dominic are feuding with Gable and Otis. Murphy had been disappeared from TV since they dropped the angle. They bring him back now, and he's trying to be Seth's disciple, and he gets rejected from that. I mean, is this guy going to get released or what? Not looking good for Buddy Murphy's future in the WWE. I think he's going to be eating catering for a while until they figure out what to do with him, if they ever figure out what to do with him. Don't be surprised if you don't see Buddy Murphy for a long, long time, right? That's a disappearing act right there. I mean, he got rejected. He came crawling back to Seth after like having a whole feud with him. He comes crawling back after his storyline was disappeared. What happened to Aaliyah Mysterio, right? All that gets disappeared. He tries to be with Seth. Seth's like, get out of here. I don't want you, even though I'm trying to enlist as many followers as possible, right? Seth comes back on SmackDown like 3 weeks ago in front of the whole roster, and he's like, follow me. I'm the Messiah. I'm Seth. I want you all to be my followers. Buddy Murphy is the only guy who's come up to Seth and has offered to be his follower, and Seth is like, nah, I don't want you, Buddy Murphy. I'll take anybody on SmackDown but you. You're a jabroni. And then he lost to Cesaro. Like, Buddy Murphy, man, if I was Buddy Murphy, I would not buy a new house in Florida. Put it that way.
Well, I think he's got to go on Raw, I think, just to get a fresh start. Maybe a new direction kind of thing. That's what he kind of needs right now. But to be fair, I'm kind of really happy we don't have to see Ray's daughter anymore. That was some of the worst WWE television I have seen like in a long time. That may have been the worst, actually. It's really up there as some of the worst television we've ever seen. So I'm happy that just died.
Yeah, it was not good. I think Buddy Murphy should go to NXT. I think Raw, even Raw, it'd be like, really, this guy? NXT, he could survive and retool and repackage the character. So that match that he had with Cesaro, he lost by sharpshooter. Michael Cole, before Murphy taps, says, oh, Murphy taps out to Cesaro. Cesaro with the win. Before Murphy tapped, Michael Cole was like, oh, Murphy taps, Cesaro wins. And then Murphy tapped. right after. It looked very bad. It was obvious that Cole thought he had tapped. He knew the finish, and he gave it away. And then they had to try and cover for him, like, oh, yeah, you could see that coming, eh, Cole? Pretty bad. Pretty bad stuff. The match wasn't great, but Michael Cole spoiling the match on commentary, that'll be on Botchamania.
Well, how many times have I said this, like, week in, week out, how bad the commentating is on SmackDown? I mean, Raw's pretty bad too, but, like, Michael Cole is on another league of his own right now, like, so bad. Like, he gets worse with every year, it seems.
Yeah.
And that's bad, because he was bad. He's been bad, like, since the start, actually, so it's just rough times right now for WWE commentating. Like, I can't think of any good WWE commentating team right now. There's none.
No, they're all bad. And, you know, a lot of people disagreed with those Dave Meltzer Wrestling Observer Awards, but I think the one that the whole wrestling world agreed with unanimously was Worst Commentator of the Year, Michael Cole. You know, he won worst.
I agree with that,
yeah, I
he
agree.
deserved it.
I agree. You agree. Everybody agrees. Oh, yeah, Michael Cole. Yeah, he's the worst. He's by far the worst. Like, wrestling fans cannot unanimously agree on anything except for Michael Cole's the worst guy in commentary. By far. Even, like, better than Tom Phillips is somehow better than him, even though most people just think he is Michael Cole or Michael Cole's son or whatever, right? I mean, Tom Phillips gets away from being the worst commentator in the business by, you know, people not knowing who he is and thinking that he is Michael Cole. I think Michael Cole probably takes a lot of heat for being shitty because people hear Tom Phillips and think that it's Michael Cole. And they're like, God, who's this terrible guy in commentary? Oh, it sounds like Michael Cole. It must be him. But no, it's Tom Phillips. But they're indistinguishable, and they both suck. God damn. They make Taz look good.
Well, Taz, you know, Taz is something special. Like, you know, he tries to be funny, and I think he knows, like, he's a little, like, ridiculous, but he does actually know some things about wrestling. So
yeah,
I appreciate that. He's an acquired taste, Taz, I find, and you just have to understand that. I think for the most part, he knows, like, a lot of what he's doing is a joke. So if you don't mind what he's doing, then it's not that bad. But it's not serious commentating. Like, I mean, you know, JR and Tony, like, they're the ones that are more serious commentators, and somewhat Excalibur, not so much, but a little bit. Like, I think he tries to be. He's a little too much as well, though, but he's still better than a lot of them.
Matthew the Magician on the chat wants to know if we could give an example of Michael Cole being the worst. We just gave one. He said the finish of the match before the finish happened on live TV. He made it look faker than it's supposed to look. Like, he made it known in that moment that he knew the finish of the match. He told you what was going to happen, and then it happened. He's not clairvoyant. He just sucks at his job. I mean, he sucks currently. He's had his moment. He's never been great on commentary. I know. I don't want to shit on Michael Cole here and turn it into a whole thing, but, like, you know, at this point in the game, he's bad. Bad.
Well, to bring up again the Chad Gable thing as well. Like, Chad Gable just lost the match, and he's like,
right,
what a big victory for Chad Gable, and he just lost the match.
Not good. Speaking of not good, Reginald. Big night for Reggie, right? I think Reggie's got a new squad.
Big night, actually.
Huge night for Reggie. So Reggie is backstage with Carmella. Reginald, the sommelier, was Carmella's sommelier. And Carmella is mad at Reggie and says, "You're a snake and you're trying to leave me for Sasha Banks." And she smacks the wine bottle out of his hand and says, "You are fired, Reginald. Fired." which I think is a bad move for Carmella because Reginald is the only reason why she's still on TV right now. Right? Like, Carmella firing Reginald is not really that great because Reggie gets more TV time than Carmella. The only time you see Carmella these days is when she's doing a backstage promo with Reginald, who's just been out to the ring in like a match or a promo or whatever, right?
Right.
So Carmella's not with Reginald anymore. I don't think that's good for her career. Anyways, Reginald got fired. You thought, oh, maybe that's the end of Reginald, but of course not. Of course it was not the end of Reginald. How could we get rid of Reginald, right? So Bianca...
Oh, you're going to get more of him.
Oh, much more. Bianca Belair beats Shayna Baszler by pinfall after her KOD finisher, which is a pretty sweet finisher. Nice move there. And she pulls it off every time. Really impressive move, right? Reginald was ringside during this match, and so was Sasha Banks, and so was Nia Jax, right? Nia's with Shayna. Sasha is with Bianca for some reason. Even though they're wrestling at Mania, they are teaming again at Fastlane to face Nia and Shayna for the tag team titles, even though they had a match at Elimination Chamber that they lost. They lost because Reginald distracted them. So that's, I guess, why they're getting a rematch, even though Reginald still very much involved in the whole situation. So Bianca, during the match, pushes Reginald down. Reginald lands at the feet of Nia Jax. Nia then pushes Reginald almost into Sasha, just right next to Sasha. Nia then runs to clothesline Reginald. Reginald moves. Sasha gets hit. Bianca gets distracted by this, almost loses the match, but doesn't, and wins. Bianca then, after the match, gets mad at Sasha and tells her that Reginald is following you around. You're the reason why Reginald is always here. He almost cost me my match. You need to take care of this Reginald problem because we have a tag team title match at Fastlane. So Sasha starts yelling at Reggie and slaps him across the face. So Sasha doesn't want Reggie around, Bianca doesn't want Reggie around, and neither does Carmella. Reginald goes to Sasha Banks' personal dressing room. Sasha has her own dressing room, by the way. Knocks on the door. Well, she's the champion, so, the boss as well. She comes out she opens the door, she just says, no. And Reginald walks away, looks all sad. Reggie runs into Shayna. Shayna says, oh, what's the matter, wine boy? Nobody wants to play with you? Nobody wants to hang out with you? Shayna's like bullying Reginald, and I'm very much enjoying it. And then Nia's like, well, Shayna, come on, don't you see what I see? I think he's kind of cute. And I'm like, Nia, how familiar are you with your tag team partner? Does she seem like somebody who might be attracted to a guy like Reginald? Or a guy at all? I mean, Shayna is not, Shayna's not into dudes. Which I just thought it was funny when Nia's like, Shayna, don't you see what I see? He's kind of cute. And Shayna gave a look like, I think there's something I have to tell you, Nia. It was, now Nia, I think, has enlisted the help of Reginald. So now Reginald is with Shayna and Nia. Jason Pete in our chat, one of our members, said that whole Reginald thing is just bad and corny. Says it might be the worst gimmick in WWE history. I mean, that's hard, though. There's a lot of bad gimmicks in the world of professional wrestling. To say Reginald the Sommelier is the worst. I mean, there was like an ex-hockey player called the Goon who came in on like boot skates, didn't he? Come on.
I think it was like foam skates.
Yeah, whatever. Katie Vick, Bob Cote, he's throwing that out there. I mean, there's been some real bad angles, some real bad gimmicks in the history of the WWE. I mean, you're saying Reginald is the worst gimmick in the WWE. We haven't talked about Apollo Crews and what he did tonight. So hang tight. Good God. That was shocking. So Reginald now with Nia and Shayna, which makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. I think this is going to be the best way to use Reginald that they've come up with. Reginald with Sasha and Bianca, I didn't really get. Reginald was like, oh, Sasha's going to beat you, Bianca. You suck, Bianca. And Sasha was like, I don't want you around, Reginald. And that was the whole thing. So it was weird. And then he came in with Carmella as her sommelier / manager, whatever. But I think with Nia and Shayna bullying him, Nia kind of messing with him, and him helping them win as heels makes sense. I like him with them. I think he'll work. And he's about to get a lot more TV time, right? Because Shayna and Nia as the tag team champions are on Raw and SmackDown. Big move for Reginald, right? Huge night for him. One of the biggest nights in Reggie's career.
Well, when you think about it, they seem to love him a lot. They put him on every week. He seems to be involved in multiple segments every week. So I think they want to showcase him as much as possible. To me, he's like the new Otis of last year, pretty much. How he was like kind of their thing that they want to push like crazy. And to me, it seems like they're kind of pushing him like crazy right now. I wouldn't be surprised. He's probably going to get a spot in WrestleMania. Maybe not a match, but he'll probably be in someone's corner and then make sure he's featured in some capacity because they're pushing him like crazy right now. You see Reginald more than you see most people on this show.
Yeah.
You laugh, but it's true.
No, you're right. Reginald has a big role on the show right now, and they're going to continue doing stuff with him until they don't. I mean, at one point, James Ellsworth had a big role on the show, and then, he didn't. I see Reginald as that type of guy.
Right, but I mean, this is a great time to start to get a push around WrestleMania season. I mean, maybe it won't last forever, but at least he'll make WrestleMania, so that's decent.
Sure. In a couple years, he'll have a decent rate for his indie bookings. I think that's where he's headed. Sorry.
Well, we'll see. I mean, he didn't really do indie wrestling before, right? He was Cirque du Soleil before this, so
I'm saying if he wants to, autograph signings, whatever. Okay, Apollo Crews comes out holding a spear with two Nigerian soldiers. Apollo now is speaking in a full-on African accent and says this is who he really is. This is who he's always been. So he has dropped the way he really talks. He's American, and he's now speaking in an African guy accent, which is not the best African guy accent. He kind of drops it. It wasn't consistent. Talks about his family's history of haunting people for generations and spilling blood and riding on the backs of lions in his native Africa. Carrying a spear as he cut this promo in a full-on African dude accent. It was uncomfortable. It was bizarre. And I cannot wait for Big E to address this on SmackDown. Big E's promo on this gimmick and this turn by Apollo has the possibility of being epic. I'm sure Big E has a lot of thoughts and a lot to say. And Apollo Crews coming out and speaking in a new accent is goddamn preposterous. What the I mean, okay, is it racist? I don't know. Maybe. I would say it's definitely on the border of racism. It's definitely strange. But as far as just pro wrestling goes, Lana was Russian, and then she dropped the accent. That makes sense. You're a foreign person. You come to America. You slowly lose your accent, and you sound more American. That happens in the world. People, when they live in certain countries, they adopt the accent of that country. Apollo hasn't moved to Nigeria, people. Apollo lives in America. He was born in America. Was he not? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Apollo was born in Africa, and I mean, it's possible he was born in Africa. No, he was born in Sacramento, California. He resides in Orlando, Florida. Grew up in Atlanta, Georgia. You know, trained by Mr. Hughes. God bless. I mean, you don't develop an African accent out of nowhere. He puts on a fake accent now as an American. I mean, that alone is strange. Who is he? Hilaria Baldwin? A few people got that. Not everybody did. Did you get that, John? Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
Alec Baldwin's wife pretends that she has a Spanish accent. You haven't seen that? That is some of the weirdest shit ever. Like, that's actually happening. Please bring that up in your promo, Big E. Alec Baldwin's wife, her name is Hillary. She grew up in Boston. She calls herself Hilaria and claims to be Spanish. Now, she does have Spanish heritage. I think her parents are from Spain. But she talks in an accent and pretends like she doesn't speak English sometimes. And it is crazy because it's like pretend. Also, she just had a baby appear. Like, she had a kid 6 months ago, and now she has a new baby. And people are like, where did this baby come from? I'm telling you, this lady is fascinating. I'm hearing a lot about this Alec Baldwin's wife, and she could be a wrestling character, man. Do a gimmick based off her. Maybe that's what this Apollo Crews thing is, loosely based on Hilaria Baldwin. I don't know, man. I don't know. But I'm telling you, you don't pick up a Nigerian accent out of nowhere. How come Apollo talks funny? I mean, forget it. Maybe it's racist. Maybe whatever. I don't know. But what about the accent? That's ridiculous. Come on now.
Well, it's like a reverse Kofi Kingston. Like, Kofi had an accent and then he dropped it, so they're doing it like the opposite kind of way, kind of thing. I mean, that's his whole thing, is that he's going back to his heritage kind of thing. So I guess that's why he developed the accent.
It doesn't work that way.
Make the story make sense.
That's not how accents work.
It's not how accents work, but maybe this is the way he wants it to be, kind of thing. Like, he's going to be that way now. He's going to sound that way because he wants to be that now.
Somebody said Vince McMahon saw Coming to America too and was like, yeah, let's do that. Let's make that a gimmick, pal. I think that movie's out, the Eddie Murphy thing. I don't know. I haven't seen it. But, yeah. So that's Apollo's new gimmick. I cannot wait for Big E's thoughts on this gimmick. I cannot wait. And I wonder what his real thoughts are. Like, you know, you're only going to get a certain amount of Big E's real thoughts on SmackDown, but I wonder what he really thinks. Like, in 5 years, when he does, like, real podcasts, like, when he's not in the WWE, I want to hear Big E talk about this gimmick specifically. I want to hear Big E talk about it. I want to hear MVP talk about it. I want to hear Kofi talk about it. I want to hear Xavier Woods talk about it. And I want to hear Apollo Crews talk about it. Apollo Crews interview on a podcast in 5 years about this gimmick will be legendary. WWE forced Apollo Crews to do racist gimmick against his will. Vince told him, do that African gimmick, pal. We're going to make you the next Kamala. You'll be vice president of the United States in no time. Vince has a different Kamala. What? Damn it. You know? Anyways.
Well, if you remember, Kamala didn't talk.
I know. I'm kidding. I'm joking around. It's all jokes here, John. Natty and Tamina. This is the promo that got the most done in the least amount of time. I thought this was good because, you know, if you blinked, you missed the whole thing, but they did get some sort of story advanced here. So Natty and Tamina are backstage with Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville, and they're like, why aren't we getting a tag team title shot? We've been beating everybody. Sasha and Bianca already got a tag title shot. They lost. Why are they getting the tag team title shot at Fastlane? And I'm like, yeah, solid point. And Adam Pearce says, sorry, that's just the match that was made, and walks away. And Sonya Deville says, I would have made a different decision. So you got a lot accomplished in like a maybe 60-second promo. You have Adam Pearce is doing one thing, Sonya's doing another thing. Sonya is trying to, assert herself as somebody who's got, different ideas and is more talent-friendly. And Natty and Tamina want a tag team title shot. So I thought you got a lot accomplished there. Everything made sense. That was the only appearance, really, of Adam Pearce, Sonya, Natty, and Tamina on the show. A very brief appearance, but they got on TV, and, a story advanced, and it worked. Compare that with Bayley's segment. Ding Dong, what the fuck? Ding Dong Hello segment. Bayley's in a ring backstage. They have 2 rings. They have the ring, and then they have the backstage ring. So Bayley's in the backstage ring for some reason. And she decides that she's going to read tweets about her. She says that a lot of these talk shows have the host read mean tweets, but everybody loves her, so nobody's going to be sending her mean tweets, so she's going to read sweet tweets written by her fans. So she reads a couple nice tweets, and then she starts to read one and realizes that she doesn't like it because it's mean. She crumples up the paper and leaves, and that's it.
Yep.
What was that?
Ain't too happy, huh?
I mean, whatever. I don't care that much. It's like, I'm just like, that's it? It was kind of the same feeling about, like, I'm still wondering what happened to Shaq in that ambulance. Like, Shaq disappeared from that ambulance, and still no one has told me if he's dead or what. What happened to Shaq? And that's kind of how I feel about Bayley. Like, what was on that paper that she didn't like? What was on that paper that made Bayley so sad?
I think for Shaq, you got to tune into the NBA All-Star game this Sunday to find out if he's going to show up or not.
Pass.
Maybe you get the answers there.
Pass. I got Revolution to watch, baby.
For Bayley, I'm not sure what they're trying to do here with her whole, maybe she's having problems with her self-confidence kind of thing, and she's going to get mad and take her frustrations out on someone, but there's really not a lot of depth on the SmackDown roster, so there's really not much that she can feud with. I guess the Riot Squad again, she's already beaten both of them, I think. There's really not much else that she can do on SmackDown.
That's a good point. But, I mean, she's obviously doing something, right? There's obviously some sort of story being told here. It's a story with herself against nobody.
Yeah, well, the story is she can't take criticism. That's it.
Is this a babyface turn?
No, I don't think it's a babyface turn. It just makes her more of a jerk, where it's you can't say anything bad to her whatsoever because she can't take it. She can't handle it. If anything, she's more of a heel.
Is this the time to find a new tag team partner and rejoin the tag division? Maybe Carmella? What do you do if you're Bayley right now? What would you do for Bayley in the next 3 months? What's her story arc?
Yeah, a new partner would be good, but it's really tough. I don't know who else you could really get besides maybe Billie Kay, but I feel like she already said no to that. So
yeah.
There's not a lot to work with, though. I mean, maybe a trade.
I'll tell you, a really good way to bring Rhea Ripley to the main roster would be Bayley's tag team partner. A Bayley-Rhea tag team would be pretty badass. Turn Bayley babyface, Bayley and Rhea versus Nia and Shayna. That'd be a hell of a match, man. And it's a good way to bring Rhea up to the main roster, introduce her as a player that's to be, taken seriously, but at the same time, you don't hotshot her right into the main event. She's in the tag team title hunt. She's serious, but she's not challenging for the big title right away. You can build her to that. You know Rhea's going to come to Raw at some point. Yeah. Bayley's on SmackDown. It doesn't work unless they win the tag team titles maybe on a pay-per-view, and then it doesn't matter what brand you're on if you're the tag team champions. Just an idea.
Well, I think right now it seems like the best thing Bayley can do is win the Battle Royal at WrestleMania if they have one.
They have to, don't they? If they do,
They didn't do it last year.
They didn't?
They did not.
Did they only do it one time?
I feel like have they done two?
Maybe
I think
two.
Naomi won one.
Okay. I don't know who won the other.
I forget who won the other one.
I think you're right, though. I think they probably have done two. What's it called? The women's...
It was supposed to be like, I think, was it the Moolah? Supposed to be the Fabulous Moolah Battle Royal, but then they didn't call it that because of all the criticism about Moolah, so they just called it the Battle Royal.
A lot of Moolah controversy. Moolah did some inappropriate things. I recently heard a story about Moolah where there was a fan who was a... God damn. I don't want to get this story wrong, but I'm pretty sure I have it right. I heard this story on Jericho's podcast. He's talking to Eugene. He interviewed Eugene, and Eugene tells a story that his character, Eugene, was based on a real guy who was, I think he had Down syndrome. And apparently one night, Moolah made a man out of him, if you know what I mean. That's how they put it. And I was like, Jesus. That's kind of dark, isn't it? I mean, maybe it isn't, but apparently after that, he was scared of Moolah, this guy who had Down syndrome. Yeah. So maybe not name things after Moolah, because she seems like a creepy fuck. Like, was she pimping women? I don't know. Was she torturing people and being overall horrible? I don't know. But according to Eugene, she probably... I mean, I'm not going to say it was consensual because I don't know if the kid wanted it. So maybe raped a Down syndrome kid? That's pretty fucked up, if you ask me. Anybody who does that, I don't think you should be naming shit after them. All right? How about that? How about that? I don't think I'm out of line in saying that either. If you're raping the mentally challenged, maybe you shouldn't be honored in any kind of way. Just a thought. At the very least, WWE. I know we're talking about the WWE, which, you know, you never know. Carmella won the 17-woman WrestleMania Women's Battle Royal back at WrestleMania 35. And I think the first WrestleMania Women's Battle Royal was at WrestleMania 34 because they have the Andre the Giant men's Battle Royal. So they did a women's one. The first one was a 20-woman one that was won by Naomi at WrestleMania 34. So they did one at 34 and 35. Last year was WrestleMania 36, and they skipped it. So who knows if they'll do the Women's Battle Royal this year. It's lots of members over the years. WrestleMania 34, 20 women. WrestleMania 35, 17? We can't get... we don't have 20. 17. WrestleMania 36, 2 nights of WrestleMania. Should we do a Women's Battle Royal? Nah, fuck it. Nah. WrestleMania 37, do they do one? We got nothing else. Yeah, let's bring it back. How many women? I don't know, 23? Whoever we have. How many do we have? Oh, we only have 21? Okay, 21. Can we call it a casino battle royal?
Rumble.
Yeah.
And the Rumble's like half NXT, so, I mean, I'm not surprised by this.
Yeah, me neither. Who knows if they'll even do it. Yeah, Craig Paquette says gross. Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I don't want to have to tell you that story. I'm just trying to illustrate the point that Fabulous Moolah seemed to be a horrible person. Right?
Allegedly. Because there's some people that will defend her. So, I mean, it depends who you talk to on this stuff.
Yeah, okay. Well, some people that defend her probably shouldn't. People defend people, just because some people defend you doesn't mean you're not a piece of shit. Some people defend Hitler. You know what I'm saying? Just because people defend you doesn't mean you're not a piece of shit. Right?
Okay, but, there are some people, credible people, that will defend her, so.
Sounds like you're one of them. Sounds like you're trying to be one of them here. I don't know.
I don't know her, but some people knew her and, will defend her.
All right, well, from all the story, there seems to be a lot of stories, there's a lot of stories about Moolah. And Eugene on Jericho's podcast just seemed to throw that one out there as an aside. It's like, oh, yeah, here, one of the crazy things you fucking heard about Moolah is that maybe she raped a Down syndrome boy. I mean, he was maybe a teenager or a young man. I don't know, but, I mean, either way, it's fucked if it happened. And according to Eugene, it did. Allegedly, I guess. Jesus. Moolah. A lot of darkness about Moolah. Did they do a dark side of... They did a dark side of the ring about Moolah, didn't they?
I don't know if it was a whole episode. I think maybe just a part of it or something.
So what was the whole episode about?
I thought, if I'm not mistaken, I think Moolah was in.
What?
But that was first season, I think.
No, it was about Moolah. Yeah, Fabulous Moolah. Season 1, Episode 6. No?
Well, season 1, I don't remember a couple of them, so.
Or maybe not. Yeah. The whole episode was about Moolah. Now, come on, man. Go watch that episode. And that episode was kind of nice, but come on, man. Go watch that episode on Fabulous Moolah. If they do a dark side of the ring about you, chances are you've done some fucked up shit. Good God Almighty. Johnny North trying to defend people here. Derek John says Reginald will win the Women's Battle Royal at Mania. If they have one, Derek. If they have one. Who knows what they're going to do at Mania? They got 2 nights, and they got a lot of time to fill. I say give me Daniel Bryan versus Edge one of those nights. Okay. I will be back here tomorrow night at 10 p.m. Eastern Time for the UFC 259 watch-along with Freddie and AJ. I'll be right here with them. We're going to be watching the UFC 259 pay-per-view right here with you. I've got Aljamain, Amanda, and Yan. And that's not what Freddie and AJ are going with. Aljamain, Amanda, and Yan is my 3-fight pick for tomorrow night's UFC 259 title fights. 3 title fights on 1 pay-per-view card. Johnny and I will be back Sunday night during or after Revolution. Now, apparently Revolution could end as late as 1 a.m. Now, I don't want to start our show at 1 a.m., right? We can't start the show at 1 a.m., so it's possible that we're on during the exploding barbed wire death match or something. I think I'm shooting for maybe 11:30 we'll start our show here. 11:30 on Sunday night. And then we'll see how long Revolution goes, and we'll recap what we've seen, and we'll watch along the end of Revolution and then do a post show as well. So we'll be back around, I think, 11 on Sunday night for the Revolution watch-along post-show. Does that work for you, John?
Yeah, but Revolution's already losing points because that's ridiculous for a pay-per-view lasting that long. WWE does it right, barely 3 hours. That's good.
Well, these days, wait till Mania. We'll see what they do at Mania. But, yeah, apparently it's supposed to start at 8 and it could end as late as 1, but I think it'll end at 12. I don't think it'll end at 1. I think 4 hours is enough, and they know that, but they do have a huge card. And just before we go, I'll show you the tweet from Kenny Omega earlier this evening. These are the rules to the exploding barbed wire death match. So you're wondering how this is going to go. 3 sides of the rope, of the ring ropes wrapped in barbed wire. Contact with barbed wire triggers explosive on corresponding side. Triple hell. 3 zones on the floor wired to explosives. And this is my favorite bit. 30-minute countdown timer until all explosives in and around the ring detonate. So this match is going to be 30 minutes, and this is Kenny's mock-up of what it's going to look like. There's Moxley down there getting exploded. Gotta love that. Look at that. That looks fun. Mox exploded. Take that, Mox. I like the concept. I like the 30-minute countdown. Exploding platforms with barbed wire. So the platforms have explosives and barbed wire. They're all around the ring. There's the stage. On the side of the stage, there's going to be more barbed wire, more explosives. The ring ropes will be exploding barbed wire. There's going to be a lot of explosives, a lot of barbed wire, a lot of blood, a lot of boom, 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 kaboom! Sunday night. The AEW Revolution exploding barbed wire death match. Kenny versus Moxley. Johnny, what do you think of those rules?
Just glad that the fans are usually far away. I think it's best in this case that they are. I don't expect to see the whole wrestler fan base around for this match because looks like it might be kind of dangerous for them.
It's going to be fun though, right? Looks cool. I'm hyped for it. I think it's going to be fun.
Wait and see. I mean, I'm interested. We'll see what happens.
Like this video. Subscribe to the channel. When you subscribe, click the bell so you get notifications each and every time we are on. Like I said, a big weekend for the Ringside Report Network. I will be back here tomorrow night, 10 p.m. for the UFC 259 watch-along. And then I'll be back here with Johnny on Sunday night at 11 p.m. to watch Revolution with you and to recap the whole event. Was it good? Was it bad? What was our match of the night? What do we give it on a scale from 1 to 10? We'll give you our grading this Sunday night for the Revolution post-show. You'll find everything that we do over at ringsidereport.net. Don't forget to become a member here on the YouTube channel. Also become a member over at donate.ringsidereport.net. Donate.ringsidereport.net. We also have merch. Go get some cool merch with our faces on it. Your MMA authorities and pro wrestling here at ringsidereport.net. This is our cool mug that we have. You can get your merch over at merch.ringsidereport.net. A big thanks to Jason Pete, Craig Paquette, Derek John, Patrick C. Hamilton, and all of the other members that we have. Those are the guys that I see in the chat here tonight. Craig, Patrick, Derek, Jason out in Mexico. Derek, Craig. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate you all. Thank you for watching. Become a member. We love you. We'll see you again tomorrow night for the UFC 259 watch along.
Thank you and good night.
Please join in and give your support to Ringside Report Network. We've been providing expert coverage and commentary on both pro wrestling and MMA for over 15 years. Ringside Report started on the radio, added podcasts, and moved to video in 2019. Our hosts are not just fans, but have in-depth knowledge of the subjects. Become a member of our YouTube channel now and become a recurring supporter of our work as we strive to continue to entertain you in these strange times. Pro wrestler Johnny Genesis North joins lifelong wrestling fan and aficionado Dave Simon to host our pro wrestling programming with in-depth coverage of the WWE, AEW, and New Japan Pro Wrestling. Our flagship show, Wrestling Uncensored, is live every Friday right after WWE SmackDown. Here, you get a review of the week that was. You may not agree with our host. In fact, they often don't agree with each other. But you have an opportunity to chime in with your viewpoint in the chat rooms while live or in the comments section of YouTube, Twitch, or Facebook on the replay. Dave and Johnny also headline our coverage of major pro wrestling pay-per-views and breaking news. Dave Simon is joined by experienced jiu-jitsu fighters Fred Garcia and the ever-unpredictable AJ DeLesio, each Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern with Ringside Report MMA. They try and foresee what's next in the octagon and review, argue, and kibitz in a very friendly, irreverent manner. The three guys also team up to accompany you on all the major UFC pay-per-views with entertaining watch-alongs. Go to ringsidereport.net/support to find out more ways to support the channel.